Hold the line! Push them back! Forward, men! For Gettysburg!
I couldn't move. The rock behind me was the only thing keeping me alive, and even that was cracking under the hail of bullets. Smoke burned my eyes. My own heartbeat was louder than the guns. I was trapped, completely trapped, on the slopes of Gettysburg. And I knew in my bones that if I stood up, I wasn't coming back down. It was July 2nd, 1863. I was a 21-year-old Union infantryman with the 2nd Delaware. They told us we were moving to support the line near a place called the wheat field. Just another shift, they said. Hold the ground. We marched in under a blazing sun, sweat pouring down our backs, thinking we were just plugging a hole. But the moment we crested that ridge, the world turned into hell. The Confederates came screaming out of the trees like devils, thousands of them. And suddenly, we weren't reinforcing. We were the front line. The air itself felt alive. Bullets snapped past my head like angry hornets. The wheat in front of me was being chopped to pieces by rifle fire. Smoke rolled thick across the field, turning day into twilight. I could taste gunpowder on my tongue. Men were shouting orders, but no one could hear anything except the roar. I dropped behind a cluster of boulders with 3 other boys from my company. We thought it was good cover. We were wrong. Suddenly the ground shook. A shell screamed in and exploded 20 feet away, throwing dirt and body parts over us. One of the boys, young Tommy, started screaming that he couldn't see. Blood was pouring from his face. I tried to pull him closer when another volley ripped across our position. The man to my left jerked once and went still, eyes wide open. I pressed myself harder into the rocks. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold my rifle. Every time I thought about moving, more bullets slammed into the stone inches from my head. We were pinned, completely pinned, and the Rebs were getting closer. Then the worst thing happened. Our own artillery started falling short. Shells began exploding right in the middle of our position. The noise was unbearable. I curled into a ball as hot metal fragments whistled past. Someone nearby was praying out loud, voice cracking between sobs. I looked to my right and realized the line was breaking. Men were falling back, stumbling through the smoke, but we couldn't move with them. We were cut off, isolated, trapped behind the enemy advance. That's when the fear really hit me. Not the sharp fear of a bullet, but the deep, sickening fear that I was never getting out of this field alive. But then something shifted. Through a break in the smoke, I saw gray uniforms pouring around our left flank. They weren't supposed to be there. No one had warned us. The Confederates had found a gap and were now behind us. We were surrounded. One of the Rebs spotted our rocks and started yelling. Bullets started coming from a new direction. I returned fire blindly, not even sure if I was hitting anything. My last 3 rounds. That was it. I had never felt so small in my entire life. The sun was starting to dip, but the fighting only grew fiercer. We were down to rocks and bayonets. Every breath tasted like blood and smoke. My throat was raw from screaming. I watched a Confederate officer leading a charge straight at us, sword raised, before he took a hit and crumpled. Still, they kept coming. Exhaustion mixed with terror until I couldn't tell which was worse. My legs were numb. My mind was slipping. I kept thinking about my mother back home and how she'd never know what happened to me on this hill. Then came the final push. Hundreds of them surged forward through the shattered wheat. The roar was deafening. I stood up for one last desperate moment, firing my last round straight into the wave. Something hit me hard in the shoulder. Burning pain exploded through my body. I dropped behind the rock again, blood soaking my jacket fast. All around me, the screams reached a terrible peak. Men were fighting hand to hand now, clubbing each other with rifle butts, stabbing, dying. The world had gone completely mad. I pressed my hand to my wound and waited to die. Then, silence. Not total silence, but the kind that comes after the worst of the storm. The shooting moved past us. The main Confederate wave had broken through further down the line. I lay there among the rocks, breathing shallow, surrounded by the dead and the dying. I don't know how long I stayed like that. Hours, maybe. The sky turned orange, then dark. The moans of wounded men filled the night air. Someone nearby kept calling for water in a voice that grew weaker and weaker until it stopped. I was alive, but I wasn't the same person who marched onto that field. What happened on that second day at Gettysburg changed everything. The fighting in the wheat field and around Little Round Top turned into one of the bloodiest struggles of the entire war. Thousands fell in just a few hours. The Union held the high ground by the narrowest of margins, but at a terrible cost. That desperate defense set the stage for the final act the next day, Pickett's charge. Because we held, the Confederacy's last real chance at winning in the North began to die on those Pennsylvania hills. I eventually crawled off that field when darkness gave us cover. My shoulder never worked right again. Some nights I still wake up smelling smoke and hearing those screams. But here's what I keep thinking about. If we hadn't been trapped on that ridge, if we had broken and run like so many others, would the Union have held Gettysburg at all? And tomorrow, July 3rd, things were about to get even worse. If you want to hear what happened when the Confederates launched the single most famous charge of the entire war, and what it looked like from the Union line as thousands marched straight into our guns, let me know in the comments, because that story is even harder to forget.